Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to have an individual reading for Kun, and this time I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want the individual readings to be a bit more concise, straightforward, and shorter. I guess so they're a lot easier to watch and digest. And because of that, I'm going to try a new format in this video, but it will still have the 4 different components of checking his current energy, his career, his love life, and any healing messages that come through. Let's just see how this one works out. Now, for Kun's reading, I did want to, clarify what the French Vanilla is all about, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I think I made a comment about that in the group reading for NCT in this year, in 2022 predictions, I guess you could call them. And I wanted to mention that with Kun, when he first started, he was pretty vanilla, and that's the term that we use for pretty bland, nothing much going on. But then later on, I think it may have been in 2021 when they had their comeback with Kickback. But during Action Figure, he started to look a lot more confident, and that made him look a lot more attractive and interesting. So we were kind of like, oh, he has spiced it up. So he went from vanilla to French vanilla. So I wanted to clarify that one. But anyway, so the first section that we're going to start with is going to be his current energy. So how is Kun currently doing? We have the High Priestess, the 8 of Cups reverse, and Judgment. So it seems like he's going through very big changes currently. With the 3 cards that we have right here, is he has 2 out of the 3 are major arcanas. With number 2, we have the High Priestess, and with number 20, we have Judgment, which also reduces to number 2. So it seems like there's a sense of balance or a sense of harmony that he's currently working on, or there might be a sense of him having to work with other people or trying to put himself back into alignment at the current moment. With the 8 of Cups reverse, it feels like at the very present moment, he is avoiding walking away from a situation. He may be held back because of an emotional attachment that he has to the space he's currently in. So usually in tarot, one of the simple readings that people can do is a 3-card layout, and it could be designed. You can assign whatever you want to each of the cards, but in this case I'm going with past, present, and future type of thing. So currently, what energy is he carrying from the past? What is he actually feeling at this current moment? And then from the future, it will be the energy that from the future energy that is currently affecting him. We could put it that way. So it seems like in the past with this High Priestess, he may have connected a lot with his emotions, because the High Priestess kind of connects to the moon, and it talks about intuition. It talks about being more conscious of the shadow self that people have. So in this case, it will be that he's being a lot more aware of how he feels. He's connecting to a side of himself that he didn't even know of. He's connected to his subconscious. So he's listening to that side of himself that he may have tried to push down or neglected, or maybe didn't really pay much attention before. And that thing, those emotions could have pushed him at this current moment to see something he doesn't really want to see, or to acknowledge to a certain extent, to face a fear or face something painful that at this present moment he's finding very difficult to walk away from. It doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't want to walk away from this pain or this thing that's bothering him, but it's definitely very difficult. So there's a sense of resistance for him, because even if he walks away from something that's bothering him, he will still encounter a lot of challenges, as the mountains in the background kind of show. Now the current energy for the future ahead of him, we have Judgment. So right now he's resisting because he knows, it's in the back of his head, that even if he walks away from those fears or walks away from the problem or those conflicts, he will be faced with a lot of challenges ahead. because the Judgment card talks about following that inner calling, right? So the Judgment in this case is Pluto energy. So Pluto talks about transformation. It does talk about change, but this is a type of change that comes very deeply within, in this case, within himself. It's something that will drastically change his point of view or something along those lines. Usually the Judgment card could also be about answering that inner call or like going towards a sense of purpose. So he may have realized that he wasn't emotionally satisfied with something, and because of that, now he's reaching a point where he knows that even if he walks away from something, he will be encountered with a lot of challenges and even more obstacles. So I do feel that he may be trying to wait if he's ready for it or if it's even worth it. But with the Judgment card, it kind of feels that naturally he will have to take that move anyway. So it may be a little bit difficult for him to reach that point because there's like a work in progress that he's going through. So yeah, with this Judgment card, it definitely feels like there's a test that life will put him through, where he will encounter a very difficult challenge that may be a turning point for him. So that's his current energy. Now let's go into his career and see what's going on there. The turning point could be about his career, or the turning point could be in his love life, or the turning point could just be within himself, which will eventually affect other areas of his life. So what's going on in Kun's career? We have New Moon in Taurus, prosperity lies ahead. Let's see. And then we have Ubuntu with compassion for others. With the New Moon in Taurus, we have prosperity lies ahead and the compassion for others. So it seems like in his career, he is being very determined. With a new moon, we're talking about a new beginning. We're talking about starting something new, maybe a new chapter in his life. So it seems like in his career, he may be offered an opportunity that will take him down a path that he's not super familiar with, or he's just starting a new project. So there's a lot of preparation that has to be put into the work, right? However, with the Taurus energy that we have right here, it definitely feels that there's a sense of having to be very determined, very persistent, and even stubborn. It seems like even though at the end of the tunnel there's going to be a lot of prosperity, a lot of abundance, and a lot of blessings that will come into Kun's career, it seems like the path to get that is going to be a little bit difficult. Now, I'm not saying difficult as like external forces will get in the way constantly. I do feel that this comes a little bit more with himself. I do feel that if he's going through currently a very big transformation in his career, that could distract him a little bit, or it could get in the way of his inspiration and his motivation to continue forward with his career. I'm not saying he's going to stop working. I'm not saying that he's going to stop being an artist and an idol. I'm just saying that it will be a lot more difficult for him to enjoy the process and enjoy the journey that he's on, or to want to put a lot of effort into it, because he may have the internal difficulties and struggles that might get in the way. But again, with his Taurus energy, there's this sense of like slow and steady, right? So he will constantly be taking baby steps into his career in order to succeed. Now, if he has that mentality right now or not, I'm not too sure, but it definitely feels like it's going to be very important for him to have that type of mentality going on from now on. The card that we have right here with compassion for others, it kind of feels that he will have to work a lot with other people, and he may have to rely in the support that other people will be giving to him if it comes down to it. But with the compassion for others, it also feels that he will have to be very understanding of other people's situation, because he is going to be in a very difficult situation himself, right? With all the internal healing that he's going through, he will have to, or I think he will naturally just be in the energy where he will just know how other people are going to start feeling, and that compassion will definitely help him get those, I guess, the same in return, if that makes sense. So just as he's being nice to other people, those people will figure out a way to be nice to him. And when I say figure out a way, I mean that sometimes all those blessings can be returned to him without it directly coming from the people that he helped in the first place. So it definitely feels that with the compassion, it also feels that he just has to be very understanding when he's working with other people. So if he's starting a new project, he may be involved with people he's not too familiar with, and he may have to adjust his way of working and doing things, but I think he will be very good at understanding those people, since, I mean, he's the leader of WayV, right? I figure that he might be good at his role as a leader, but I don't know. Let's see. Clarifiers for this cards and Kun's career. Perfect. I wanted 2 cards and 2 cards came out. So with the 8 of Swords upright and the King of Swords reverse, it feels like there's going to be a lot of mental obstacles and a lot of thinking that might get in the way for Kun's career. So the 8 of Swords kind of shows this sense of feeling trapped, this sense of, he's thinking and overanalyzing the situation so much in his career that, wanted or not, he starts feeling that he's imprisoned or he's trapped or like he can't move forward. So this new moon in Taurus is just kind of advising him again to try to take that blindfold off and try to see what little steps he can do, right? Maybe he can't reach his end goal that quickly or that fast, or maybe he doesn't really know the path to get to that goal. However, what's being advised to him is that he at least looks at his immediate surroundings and he tries to figure out what is the next step he can possibly take at the moment he's in with the resources that he has to lead him one step closer to his goal. There's also this sense of like a reminder for him to never forget or to constantly remember what his end goal is, so that he doesn't lose. There might not be a concrete path to how to get to that goal, but there's this sense of like if he continues remembering what he's trying to achieve, it will make it easier for him to realize that those little steps that he's taking are building up to a path towards that goal that he has. The other difficulty that he may have with his King of Swords reverse is communication and having, a logical mind. So with the King of Swords reverse, there's a sense of him struggling to either think clearly or being able to express his thoughts clearly and effectively, or maybe even a sense of not being able to have clear judgment and being able to see things for what they are, and having, in a way, a cold mind. Because I think he could be going through a couple of extremes, since he's currently in a sense of, this is a lot of water. We have cups, we have the moon, and Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio, a water sign. There's a lot of water energy that is kind of rocking his boat, right? Is making his emotions just go here and there. The waves are crashing very wildly. He's going through a rough period, and I think all of that is shaking his intellectual side. It's kind of shaking his reasoning and clouding his judgment a little bit, because I feel that he's being put in a spot that he's not comfortable with. And what I mean by that is that since he's going through this shadow work of sorts, he's finding it very difficult to be able to think clearly, because he's feeling a lot, and he may be suppressing that a little bit and trying not to pay too much attention to it. So with that in mind, this King of Swords could be reversed because he could find it very difficult to express everything that he's feeling, or he could find it very difficult to think clearly because now his emotions are trying to have a say in the way that he does things. So it's not what's the most logical thing to do. Now it's his heart is knocking on the door, and it's okay, but have you asked this side of yourself, right? So it definitely feels like now in his career, his emotions may take a bit of a role, and it might be a little bit difficult for him to adjust to that new way of doing things, which will explain why there's this sense of going slow and steady, and how I mentioned earlier that he may have a lot of internal struggles because of that. So the path will be difficult, not because of external issues, but because of internal dilemmas that he may be going through, or just getting to know this new side of himself. But yeah, with compassion for others, I'm starting to think that he should also try to be very understanding with himself, so that he doesn't become too harsh with his words, to the point that it could hurt other people, because he's projecting the issues that he's going through. So that King of Swords reverse could be a sign that he should be careful with that. Now let's jump onto the other area of his life, which is his love life. So what's going on with Kun's love life? Wait. So the card that came out is Take Time to Breathe Out, Disseminating Moon. Kun's love life. And then we have Euphoria with Honor Yourself, number 9. So with that number 9, the song that I thought of was Tiara number 9. I don't know why I thought of that song. I'm not too sure what that song's about and how that could relate to this one. So you guys feel free to check it out, and I guess you guys can tell me. or keep that to yourself. That's fine too. Do whatever you want. But yeah, with the Euphoria card and the number 9. So number 9s in tarot usually talk about ending a cycle or reaching the end of a cycle, because after number 9 is number 10. And number 10 is talking about the ending of a cycle and the beginning of another one. But what I'm trying to get at is that it definitely feels that in Kun's love life, there's a sense of maybe taking a break from dating if he was even dating, or maybe if he's already in a relationship, taking a break from it. And if he's not in one, to take a break from trying to find a relationship. So it seems like in his romantic life there is a pause, and it seems like that pause is because right now the focus is on himself, and because of that focus that he's going through, it will definitely benefit his love life in the future, because there's a sense of, when there's self-respect, it makes it easier to find a partner that aligns with those ideas. But with the Euphoria card and honor yourself, it kind of feels like the main thing that Kun is working on in his love life is self-love. Definitely trying to take some time out to work through his emotions, learn to process them, learn to feel them, learn to also understand them and respect those emotions for what they are and how they're working. But also with the Euphoria card and the honor yourself, it definitely feels like he's learning how to be more confident, being more comfortable with himself and his ideas and his way of thinking, which is the same thing as his ideas, but you know what I mean. Also being very confident in showing those sides of himself that maybe he always wanted to be, but he was struggling to understand them, and also struggling to know how to express them in a way that felt like him, if that makes sense, right? Also with this card, there's this sense of maybe taking off the mask, or a sense of, I just realized in this card the person is kind of like holding their neck, and it's making me think of someone that is working on their throat chakra. So he's definitely learning how to express himself a bit better, trying to find ways of speaking up or speaking the truth, or trying to be very honest with himself as well. So it definitely feels that in his love life it's more about self-love, which I guess we shouldn't be surprised considering the current energy that he has. There seems like he's being a lot more intuitive. He seems to be following his gut instinct a bit more. It seems like he's also learning how to just work with his emotions. If before he had like a wall and put his emotions to the back burner, all of those are floating back, and he has to look at it now, because there's no escape, that kind of energy. So yeah, in his love life there's this sense of like take time to breathe out. It kind of shows that he does need some time to just reflect, to just kind of be on his own potentially, or just to, funnily enough, to think about the way that he feels, so he can slowly just feel the way that he feels, make that transition a bit smoother for him, if that makes sense for you guys. But there's definitely this sense of him having to just maybe at night try to reflect a little bit. Maybe if he has a journal, he can write on it, so he can like look back on it and reflect at a different point in his life when he's a bit calmer, when he's not riding those waves and just going crazy. I'm not saying he's going insane, I'm just saying that it could be overwhelming. So yeah, in his love life it seems to be all about him right now. Again, it could be very beneficial in the future if he wants to find a partner, if he's interested in that, or if he already has one, to make the relationship work a bit better. But let's take out some more cards. So more information on Kun's love life. We have the Knight of Cups. 3 cards came out, that's fine. So we have the Knight of Cups. We have the Ace of Swords reversed. Yeah, and the 5 of Swords. So he has a lot of Swords energy currently, which makes me think that there's a lot of thoughts and ideas that are kind of getting on the way for him at the moment, and he's really struggling with it. So with the Knight of Cups, especially in a love reading, if you want to put it, I mean, we're in the love section, so it counts. So to me, the Knight of Cups talks about an offer, a confession, usually romantic, someone that is bearing their heart and trying to show their emotions. So I do feel that this could come one of 2 ways. Someone could enter his life and offer him a cup of love, and by that I mean someone that is kind of offering their heart and confessing, like, this is what I want to give to you, please take it, right? Or it could mean that he like Kun is currently working on himself in order to be that Knight of Cups, being able to be poetic, being able to be genuine and very sincere, and being able to offer his heart to someone. Because I think he already has, I don't know how Kun is necessarily, but maybe he's very romantic and he really has that side of himself very like well figured out. But maybe what he struggles with is this Ace of Swords energy, right? So with the Ace of Swords reversed, we're seeing an individual that finds it very hard to think of the right words, someone that finds it very difficult to express through communication. So his self-expression, his heart can be in the right place, but maybe his words don't really match up with what he's with what he's feeling. This could also be that he lacks the inspiration or he can't really think of a way to express himself in the way that he feels. Because of course he's feeling stuff, but his swords are kind of difficult, we can put it that way. So in love, maybe he's working on how to express himself a bit better, so like that he can communicate how he truly feels and be able to pour his heart out and his emotions in a very genuine way, and that it doesn't come off as someone that is guarded or something and people get the wrong idea. So with that Ace of Swords reverse, it definitely feels like he's going through internal growth that is going to allow him to effectively communicate and be able to speak the truth from the bottom of his heart. Now, the other card that we have here is the Five of Swords. So the Five of Swords talks about someone winning at all costs. And I feel that in his love life, he is someone that likes to be on the right. And that could have been an issue in other relationships. And I'm talking about this also outside of romantic relationships. I think that he is someone that doesn't like to be wrong. Or if he is, he may go very quiet. He likes to be right. He likes to win his battles and his arguments and his ideas. However, with the Five of Swords, I do feel that he may be working on that to not be too harsh. Or he's trying hard so he can succeed in life and be able to win in, I guess, the balance of his heart and his mind. He still seems to be kind of out of balance in the sense that he is able to feel one thing, but the bridge to connect to his mind is not really there. So he finds it very difficult to just make them flow together. But with the Five of Swords, there's also this sense of conflict, right? We're talking about conflict, so he is having an internal monologue. Or will it be a dialogue if he's talking to himself? I guess it really depends. I guess it will be a dialogue if it's different sides of himself, right? Or two sides within himself. But he definitely seems to always have this issue where he's kind of thinking one way but feeling another way and not really knowing how to connect those two pieces. So there's that conflict, that tension within him that he's working on. And it could also, this sense of winning at all costs could also be that he's working very hard to fix that. And it could, those truths, those things that I said could both be wrong, could both be right, or it could be one or the other, if that makes sense. They could both coexist as well as just not be there at all. But that's kind of how the cards are working together in this sense. Now I'm going to go on to the last part, which is the healing messages for Kun. So any healing messages that will help Kun in his journey. So the first card that we have is Frog Spirit with Clear Out the Clutter. And it's reversed. With all the green, it makes me think of the heart chakra. It definitely feels that Kun is going through a spring cleaning, but internally. Seems like he's trying to get rid of any bad energy or any negativity that's getting on his way. And seems like he's also trying to figure out a way to be a lot more honest with himself. And because here we have a blue sphere, so it almost feels like he's trying to clean his heart understand it better, so what we saw in his current energy, in order for him to be able to speak effectively or think about things in a way that is emotionally rational or reasonable, if that makes sense. But also with this card being reversed, I do feel that he finds it very difficult to cleanse that energy because he doesn't really know how, because I feel that he doesn't even really know what the issue is at first. When he figures out what the problem is, or like what's triggering him or what's difficult, then he will be able to figure out a way to try to solve it. But if he doesn't know what's wrong, he will just know something's not right, if that makes sense. It might be a bit difficult for him at the present moment to understand what he's going through. But it's definitely something important. It seems like it was part of his soul contract, if you want to put it that way. With those two major arcana cards, it feels like it's part of his journey, it's part of his growth, and it is essential because that's what he came here to learn. The other card that we have right here is the Hummingbird Spirit with Be Here Now, and it's reversed. So with this card being reversed, it kind of feels like he has been in a very difficult moment right now, where he has a lot of baggage from the past still weighing him down, and he seems to run away from those, I guess, responsibilities or that healing by looking into the future and trying to figure out how he can escape it, or waiting for the moment he can run away from it. So because of that, he's not living in his present moment, because if he were to live in his present moment, it will be easier for him, as I mentioned with this Eight of Swords earlier, it will be easier for him to look at his surroundings and figure out what can he do right now on the present moment with the tools that he has in his immediate surrounding. So there's this sense that, again, he's not connecting the pieces together yet. So he is worried about the past and how difficult that was, and he's looking for a brighter future and trying to be optimistic about it, but then he seems to have a problem of not knowing how to get there, or being disappointed that he can't get there because he hasn't really tried to look at his present moment and figure out how to work with that. So that seems to be why this card is reversed. Now, on to the last card of his reading, one of the prettiest cards in this deck, which is the Otter Spirit. You are never alone. So I didn't really feel the energy of him being alone. However, with the compassion for others, it definitely feels that if he helps other people, it will be easier for him to be able to help himself. Maybe because these people are extending their help to him, or it will allow him to be a lot more open for other people to help him. Or there's this sense that if he were to be a lot more compassionate, he will be able to open up to other people because he's more comfortable, or they'll do the same and be more comfortable with him and open up other issues, and that will give him a sense of perspective, and that will allow him to gather more knowledge, understanding, and tools for him to move along in his own journey. But I do feel that right now what Kun really needs is a very, very tight hug filled with love and care. He can literally get that from anyone as long as it's genuine. It will be very healing for him. Here, if you look at it, one of the otters is kind of like putting their nose in like the neck of the other one, so that makes me think of the throat chakra again. But it also feels like it's a snuggly hug, and it's also activating the heart chakra, which of course it's where the heart is at. So it definitely feels like he needs to remember that he's not on his own. But I also feel that eventually there will be people around him that when he helps them out, he will realize how good it feels to help, and he will also maybe open up his eyes and realize that those people are trying to help him too. Maybe they can't help him directly get rid of that baggage or to get a direct path to his goal, but they are like little, I guess, stepping stones towards his path and whatever journey he's going on. So those are helpful little bits and pieces for him to continue moving forward. I just find it very cute because it's a little heart and it's two otters. In this oracle deck, there's very few cards. I think there's 3 cards that have more than one animal in it. Most of it is just one of their own. So that's why it's very important to consider that here there's two of them. So it definitely feels the sense of working together and going maybe towards a common goal, or if not, just being stepping stones. So just helping him move forward and like the little bits that other people can help him. But with all of that said, I will leave that there. I hope you guys liked this reading. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit different. I hope this was a little bit more, I guess, understandable, or a little bit more digestible. I mean it that way because I'm like, if it's a really long video, I don't really know if you guys enjoyed it or not, or if you guys will prefer a shorter one. At the current moment that I'm in, it's easier to do a shorter one because I don't have energy for anything else. But you know, let's see how this method works. We may stick to it, or we may change it if I don't like it, or if I feel like it. But yeah, it will be nice to hear what you guys have to say as well. So leave that in the comments below. And again, I'll see you on the next one, whenever that is. Love and healing from my part to you. Thanks for watching, and